center down in Rockville, and we staffed it 24/7. We had a Japan site team that went over and supported the ambassador and the Japanese regulatory counterparts. We had several, including some of my staff, went over and spent several weeks in Japan doing that. We had a near-term task force, systematic review of what went on, and didn't do anything. Near-term actions included conducting additional inspections regarding coping measures for extensive damage mitigation. We supported the Department of Energy initiative on Fukushima Daiichi forensic accident study using plant-specific Melkor's computer code we had that the NRC developed on severe accidents. What we concluded for the U.S. was that there was no imminent risk from continued operations and continued licensing activities. We said a similar sequence of events in the U.S. is not likely, and what we did is we said, okay, can we get a tsunami that's going to flood out a plant? On the West Coast, there's only two plants, okay? There was Diablo Canyon, and, San Onofre. San Onofre, I think, shut down. But Diablo was actually a field out there, on a cliff on the side of a mountain, okay? And if you had a tsunami that got up that high, you got bigger problems. Trust me. On the East Coast, where we have some plants on the coast, what we concluded was that the biggest threat was not from an earthquake, but from an undersea landslide that could generate a wave like that. And what we concluded was that the waves from hurricanes on the East Coast, storm surges, are actually much higher than what could be generated by an undersea earthquake or a landslide. Basically, what we concluded was that U.S. plants were systematically protected and designed against that could go ocean water. One of the things that came about was the question of this, it's not on here, we could do the next one, was this question of the station blackout. Those plants were designed to cope with station blackout for about 8 hours. What that means is that they have, if you use offsite batteries, on-site power diesels, you have batteries available that can power critical systems for about 8 hours. Okay, after that the batteries are dead and then you're what's Creek. But the point is that you would be able to get equipment either started or operating within that time period. And because of this, we started to scratch our head and say, is this really a good, is this a good assumption? And so the industry picked up the ball. And right now, what they did is they've created these equipment centers around the country. And if there is some sort of a catastrophic event that takes out offsite power, survive for an indefinite period without their diesels or offsite power. So that was one of the big lessons learned and one of the big steps that we took following this event was to enhance the capability of U.S. plants to withstand a complete loss of all electric power. And these are just a number of the regulations that we felt were applicable. I'm not going to get into all of them because of the time here. I'm going to just finish up here with what I call the state-of-the-art reactor consequence analysis report. And this was a study we did. The last time we did this was back in around 1990, this kind of a study. And we figured, we've been doing a lot of research and testing, trying to understand core melt progression, fission product release, fission product transport. We've included our analysis capabilities tremendously with our computer codes, because of the computer capabilities have gone up so much in terms of computing power. We can do much finer and the like. And so we decided we were going to take our best tools, our best knowledge, and say, if we got a severe accident, we call it, that's basically a core melt, something that happens that melts the core, what is the most likely consequence? And this will also include all the safety-related improvements that we made to plants over the years. Okay, and so what we did, we took two pilot plants, Peach Bottom and Surrey. Peach Bottom's up in Pennsylvania, and Surrey's down in Virginia, down around the Virginia Beach area. And for scenarios that assume mitigation, which means that somehow they're able to terminate the event, the results show the core damage is prevented or radiation release is reduced or delayed compared with previous predictions. For scenarios that proceed unmitigated, which means that there's no action taken to try to stop the progression of the event, the results show the radiation release is reduced and delayed compared to previous predictions. And the individual latent cancer risk for selected scenarios generally comes from the population returning home after the event, okay, which is millions of times lower than other cancer risks assuming the linear no threshold hypothesis. Okay, and that's controversial in and of itself. If you guys ever want to have a speaker come in, have somebody come in and talk to you about the linear no threshold hypothesis versus other theories in terms of, because people say the no threshold says that no radiation is good for you, okay? Which means that even the minutest amount of radiation is going to pick some percentage is going to get cancer, okay? And yet other people say, wait a minute, we're exposed to radiation all the time, okay? Look at the people in Denver, okay? They get much more. You fly in an airplane, okay? Everybody gets roughly 600 millirems a year of radiation, 300 from natural causing substances and about 300 from medical tests. And so the point is that, people aren't dropping over from cancer because they get 600, so maybe that's a threshold, or maybe it's something even higher than that. But we used the linear no threshold, which says that even small amounts of radiation can cause cancer. And what we concluded was that what happens is in these events, and this will show you this is the fraction of the initial core inventory, okay, that's released, and this is the time. This was a 1982 study that was done. It was very conservative, and it was admitted to be very conservative. But you can see here for Peach Bottom and Surrey, okay, Peach Bottom, you don't start to get a release until about 8 hours, and it looks like Surrey, you get about 10 hours, you start to get a release, okay? What does that mean, okay? Well, if you have an accident, okay, what's the first thing the governor is going to do? You're going to, Governor, do I evacuate, okay? Well, if you evacuate, if you assume you have an evacuation, okay, in 8 hours, most of the people are going to evacuate out of that area, okay, 12 hours, even more time. So when we do the study and we make assumptions about the evacuation, this is some release. But what you conclude is that when the release actually occurs from the plant, in other words, you assume that containment finally fails and material gets released to the environment, everybody's done. They're evacuated. Okay, they're out of harm's way. All right? I'm not saying it's not a financial disaster. All right, I mean, you're still going to have contamination of everything planned. Okay, they're gone. Okay, they're out of there. And so what you conclude is that this gets into a controversy here with the NRC, and that is that we just protect public health, but we also protect economic. Okay, and that's what the policy Michigan commissioners always make. The conclusion was is that people are gone. They're evacuated. So the concern coming from that is actually released in the containment plates out on the inside of the containment. Radioactive material, it doesn't just hang in there and get released. Okay, it plates out, so you don't get as much released. And right now, when I retired, the last thing we were going to start doing, I started this actually, was to do what we call level 3 PRA. Level 1 PRA is where you just calculate the risk of the core melt. So if somebody says, what's the probability the core is going to melt? Okay, you can give them a number. If you do level 2 PRA, you not only calculate the probability of a core melt, but you also calculate the probability of a release. What's the probability that core melt will ultimately lead to a release? And then if you do level 3 PRA, you go the full 9 yards and you say, what's the probability somebody's going to die or get cancer from that accident? Okay. So we're actually doing the level 3 PRA. And we want to look at what we've always done in the past is just the reactors. We haven't, we always said, what's the risk per reactor year? Full power reactor year. That means if the reactor was operating for full power for 1 year, what's the risk of living next to it and getting cancer or dying or whatever? But there's a lot more to it, okay? One is that those plants are multi-unit sites. They either have 2 or 3 reactors there. And you might speculate and you say, okay, well, if whatever caused one to melt down, like a station blackout, won't that happen with the other 2? It might. So I wanted to do a study where we said, let's take into account the probability of not 1 reactor, but maybe if there's 2 reactors at that site, they both experience the same problem. And what does that mean for the dose rate and everything? The other thing that's on site is spent fuel. And that was a big concern of Fukushima. The nuclear fuel comes out of a reactor. It's still very radioactive. It's still very hot, okay, physically, thermally hot. And what they do is put it in a spent fuel pool, okay, which is a big swimming pool, basically, that there's water that goes in there. And this stuff stays underwater to keep it cool. It's got to stay there about 5 years, okay? Once it's been there about 5 years, the heat generation has decayed down enough that it can actually be cooled